The stars above Veyrion burn red with war. The alien High Lords scour the dying worlds for one final offering to their war god, a bride who will be sacrificed to bind their victory. But when Princess Lyra is chosen, she escapes into the Wastelands and into the path of Kaelin, a rebel warlord feared as the scourge of Veyrion. To survive, she must become more than a runaway bride. She must become the last bride they will ever claim. The twin suns of Veyrion sank into the horizon, bleeding crimson light across the citadel's spire. Inside the Hall of Chains, Princess Lyra stood at the center of a circle of alien High Lords, their armor blackened from centuries of war. Above them loomed the effigy of the war god, a towering figure of bone and steel, its hollow eyes fixed on her. The oracle's voice was a hiss of silk and venom. The god has chosen. The last bride will be you. Gasps rippled through the court. Lyra felt the heat of the branding iron as the mark of sacrifice was pressed to her collarbone. Pain flared, but she kept her chin high. She had seen the fate of past brides, bound in gold, carried into the starfires, and never seen again. That night, under the blood eclipse, she was led to the ceremonial barge. The crowd chanted her name, not in honor but in farewell. When the first shadow of the eclipse swallowed the suns, she moved. A guard fell to her stolen blade, another to the cold river below. Lyra fled into the blackened wastes, leaving behind the crown, the chains, and her place on the altar. The wastes stretched in every direction, a graveyard of shattered starships and sand stained black from centuries of war. Lyra's stolen cloak clung to her shoulders, heavy with dust, when she saw the riders crest the dune. They moved like predators, lean, armored in mismatched plating, weapons scavenged from a dozen fallen worlds. At their head rode Kaelin, the scourge of Veyrion, a human warlord whose name was spoken like a curse in the High Lord's courts. His mask was streaked with crimson sand, his eyes cold as void glass. She drew her blade. He laughed. "You think steel will save you, bride?" In a blur he disarmed her, the point of his jagged spear at her throat. "The High Lords will pay dearly to have you back," he said. "Or," she replied, steady despite the dust in her lungs, "you could keep me, and unite every human under your banner." Kaelin's grip tightened. "You'd bind yourself to me. You'd be mine." Lyra met his gaze. "Better yours than theirs." The silence between them was sharp as a drawn blade. Then Kaelin lowered his spear and tossed her a waterskin. "Then you ride with me, bride," he said. Kaelin's stronghold rose from the dunes like the skeleton of a fallen god. Walls forged from the hulls of crashed warships, jagged and unyielding. From its ramparts, Lyra watched the horizon burn with the engines of the High Lord's skyborne legions. "They come for you," Kaelin said, standing beside her, his hand resting on the hilt of a plasma-forged blade. "And they'll burn every rebel camp in their path." "Then we make them bleed for every step," Lyra answered. In the days before the siege, she trained among his warriors. Her court silks were traded for scavenged armor, her soft hands blistered under the weight of rifles and blades. She learned to move in the shadows between the wreckage, to strike from angles no noble soldier expected. When the skyships broke through the clouds, the fortress shook with the roar of their guns. Lyra stood on the wall, a rifle in her hands, her heart pounding not from fear, but from the fire that had replaced it. Kaelin grinned at her. "Stay at my side, bride. Tonight, you earn your place." The first wave descended in fire and smoke. Lyra raised her weapon and stepped into the storm. The fortress gates buckled under the High Lord's siege beasts, each impact rattling the bones of the shipwreck walls. Through the smoke strode their champion, a towering biomechanical horror, its flesh fused with steel, eyes burning like molten suns. Kaelin's voice was a growl beside her. "That one's mine." "Then the rest are mine," Lyra replied, loading her rifle. The battle was chaos. Plasma fire tearing through barricades, rebels and nobles clashing in brutal hand-to-hand. Lyra fought without pause, her blade flashing in the smoke, every strike fueled by the memory of the altar they'd prepared for her. Kaelin met the champion in a storm of steel, their blows shaking the ground. When his blade finally pierced its core, a blinding burst of light tore across the dunes. The High Lord's soldiers faltered. Lyra seized the moment, rallying the rebels with a cry that split the sky. "No more brides!" The enemy broke. By dawn, the sand was littered with shattered armor, the banners of the High Lords burning. Standing atop the wall, Kaelin took her hand. "Veyrion is yours now." Lyra's gaze swept the freed horizon. "Ours," she said, "the first queen of a world no longer chained."